I'm Wayne Mattox, and this is Antique Talk. Talking paintings today. This beautiful painting called Sacred Birds with this young Indian man or Indian teenager kind of standing here in front of a rock looking at these Canadian geese flying over a big body of water. And remember, big bodies of water in places like Idaho and Colorado weren't common to Indians. So, bodies of water were sacred in themselves, especially when you see a big, beautiful bird like that flying overhead. This is called Sacred Birds because everything was sacred to the Native Americans. It was done by Eanger Irving Couse. He's an artist who is highly collected today. And he's collected for what you're seeing here. People, when you're trying to buy antiques, always ask yourself, instead of saying, hey, how rare is it? Or how old is it? Ask yourself, how interesting is it? Is there something in the subject matter that's interesting to us here in America? Well, I think Native Americans are a beautiful culture, and everything they did and everything we know about them is fascinating and beautiful. And I think that Couse captures that magnificence right here. One of the things that you want to look for in paintings is you like to find a nice old surface like we have here. It's fun when you have a fitting frame, which we have. Large size always helps. The larger a painting is, in general, the more desirable it is, because people like to see large paintings because you can see them from clear across the room. And generally an artist put his most impressive handiwork in his larger paintings, like the ones you see today in museums. Now, I asked the people who I bought this from, I said, it looks like a Couse to me. It is a Couse, Wayne. We know it actually has a legend of being from the Cleveland Museum of Art. And we've always known in our family it's a Couse. I said, it's a Couse, I know, but it's not signed. Artists usually sign their paintings, but a great number of paintings that are hanging in museums today have no signature on them. Say about a fourth of them have no signature at all. Now, one of the reasons artists didn't sign paintings is if they didn't get paid for them. A lot of artists made it their policy to sign a painting they were commissioned to do and were paid for, and not sign a painting that didn't put money in their pocket. So if you find a painting you should know is original and it's by a particular artist that you can identify by the hand and the subject matter, you can go a long way toward determining its authenticity by doing a little homework. What I did in this case is I called up the Cleveland Museum of Art. I took these people at hand. I bought the painting first of all. I went home and I crossed my fingers and I dialed. Well, I was very lucky because a guy named Matthew Gangler from the museum answered the phone. And I said, I'd like to know a little bit about a painting that you guys used to have in your collection by Couse, I.E. Couse. Yeah, Couse. And the fellow in the museum said, Wayne, I don't know if I can find it, but I'll give it my best shot. Well, he sent me some wonderful information in the mail. You find that a lot of people who work in libraries and museums are very kind that way. This is a newspaper clipping that dates back to 1922. And this clipping says, canvas by noted Indian painter in recent gift to the Museum of Art. Sacred Birds by E.I. Couse. And they say in here this came from a guy named F.E. Drury, who was the richest man in Cleveland in 1922. When he gave this particular painting to the Cleveland Museum of Art. And other documentation from that they provided to me said that they sold it off in 1948 when they needed some funds And so I found out all this information with just one nice phone call and one kind gentleman who helped me out. We're going to look at the back of it. I always suggest that you look at the front of antiques, but also look underneath them, look on back of them, because that's where you find clues to age. Now when we look back here, we can see that this beautiful stretcher and canvas are original to the painting. Now that doesn't mean that I wouldn't have bought it if the canvas and stretcher were replaced, because sometimes they reline paintings. But when you find the original canvas and stretcher, it adds a lot of what I call undeniable integrity to paintings. You can see this is a canvas and this is a stretcher, and it's got this wonderful color. And the canvas back here has all sorts of beautiful color to it too. Even if you pull this up, you can see that there's less oxidation here than there is here, which is typical of what happens when things sit around for a number of years. So this is a painting that has wonderful quality, undeniable integrity in both the front and the back of it. Now, you say to yourself, well, it's beautiful. What about, how do you learn the value of these? Well, what I do is I do a little research into the artist. I find out what a particular artist have sold for in the past at auctions. And what you want to do is compare the size and the subject matter when you're doing such research. And I find in some newspaper clippings that I don't have available right now, but you can see that E.I. Couse brings sometimes up to $250,000 at auction, especially in painting as large as this. And another thing that adds to the value of this painting is the sitter who was posing in the painting when Couse painted it. This young man's name was Jerry Mirabal. And if if you look up Couse on Wikipedia, you'll find that his Indian name was Elkfoot. And Elkfoot was used by Mr. Couse, the artist, because he had these beautiful, soft features that were so striking and so indicative of Native American young men that he thought he made a great sitter for his paintings. And some of Couse's most important work have this sitter in the paintings themselves. So when you find an important sitter that is directly attributed to the artist, that goes again and helps me to better feel that this is a genuine Couse painting and not just a something that's not right. So this is a substantial work of art by a famous artist, and it's quite fantastic. Thank you.